Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Whoa, rein up just for a second here. Now's the time to pull the wagon together and care for each other. It will be tough for a while, but like Big John Wayne said, courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, Patriots, call in. And a good morning to you and yours on this Wednesday, March 18th, Zeb at the Ranch, and I'm Zeb Bell, and we bid you the very best day today, as I almost choked to death there, pardon me, and our major sponsor, of course, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations taking care of you, serving you with the best of tires in their big spring tire sale, and also Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And lastly, Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Let's go to the phone line right now and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Linda, thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you on the air, and God bless you, and do it more often. Call in with the pledge more often. Thank you.
I will, and God bless you and Deanne, too.
Oh, thank you very much.
Our family.
Thank you. Right now it's time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Hello, Roger and the crew, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. They've got all the best of tools and equipment for you, and I'm chuckling a little bit because I was going to talk to you about it's time for spring. It's time for the power rakes and the garden and the lawn equipment and the rototillers. And I got snow on the ground over here this morning. I really do. It started snowing at about, what was it, Deanne? About 5 o'clock, I think it was. And anyhow, that will, too, be short-lived, I'm sure. But anyway, get on over there for all the tools you need at K&R Rental. Oh, my goodness. They're right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. Not sure what you need. Maybe a snowplow. And call them at 678-3122 K&R Rental. Right now, here's the weather.
Got to get through the showers of today to hit the sunshine of tomorrow. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting rain and or snow showers off and on throughout the day, mostly cloudy skies. Winds out of the west at about 7 miles an hour. We are expecting a high close to 50. Tonight, that could continue with a low of 29. Tomorrow, we will see the sunshine. Winds coming out of the east at a slight breeze, expecting a high of 51, overnight low of 29. 54 under sunny skies for Friday. And as we hit the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, sunny skies, upper 50s. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to you by Roger and the crew at K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Yep, they've got all the best of tools for rental on long and short-term basis, so please get a hold of them today. You want to call first and ask questions? Feel free to do so. Number to call, 678-3122, K&R Rental. Real quick also, caller, I'll be there in a second. Stand by. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 20 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You know, it goes without saying that a company that has been in business for almost 7 decades, they do things right. Please remember all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and they're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call if you have questions, 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, while I was gone, one of our lunch bunchers passed away, Grace Davis. Do you remember her?
I do, yes.
Yes. You know, I got to know Grace because she has the same problem I do with the macular degeneration, and so we'd occasionally meet at the doctor's office, and I would talk to her, and what a gracious lady she was. She didn't say much, but she was really a wonderful person, and I want to thank Lorna for all the effort she put forth, because she used to take Grace
Yes.
just about everywhere they went because she could not drive.
I understand.
My hat's off to Lorna, because she's such a faithful, good person.
Well, we've had, very, very unfortunately, a lot of our lunch bunchers that have become sick or have become to where they've had to go to hospital care, health care, home health, and others have very unfortunately passed away. And our thoughts and prayers are with all of them, and we certainly hope and pray for the best at this time for our lunch bunchers. And Keith, I appreciate your call. She was a wonderful lady, and I've got to catch up and gather up. We've got a multitude of things to talk about this morning, and I appreciate you breaking the ice. Thank you.
Go get them.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. I want to say this, and I want you to help me if there's a problem. We have had some complaints from yesterday and the day before regarding poor reception of the program in certain areas. If you're having trouble getting this program, I want to know. And then I, in turn, will let the radio management know, and it will be fixed. I can guarantee you that. So if there's a problem on poor reception of this program, I want to know. You let me know, and we'll take care of it for you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm not sitting here for my health, I'll tell you that. I want to make sure that this program's heard, listened to, and you respond to it. Thank you very much. Denny's Restaurant. Oh, my goodness, 611 North Overland in Burley. Did you know that they've got curbside service? They do. And if you want to make an order, go online. You can make the order, or I'm sure you could even call them and make the order, pick it up, go home, and you can enjoy the best of food. And I know what Deanne would order. She'd order the strawberry crepes. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, at 611 North Overland in Burley. There to serve you with the best of breakfast, lunch, and dinner anytime, all the time, with great, great people. Don't forget, you want to eat in? Go ahead, call, go pick it up, and sit down there and relax in the comfort of your home. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Also, real quick, we have not heard to the contrary, and I'm sure it's going to be a ripping good sale, and that's, of course, the Great Big Spring Community Sale. That's going to be managed by Rogge Auction Company, Ron Rogge, Cade Rogge, Jade South. And this is going to be this Saturday at 10 a.m. at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds. It's a good thing it wasn't this morning. They'd have a snowball fight. Anyway, make sure you make your consignments, and they're going to take consignments right up until 5 p.m. on Friday. So call Ron Rogge at 431-6187 or Cade Rogge at 431-0074. Great Big Spring Community Sale at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds this Saturday at 10 a.m. and managed by Rogge Auction Service. One other item that I want to mention right now is that we just had reports, and I'm sure many of you were already on top of this, that Salt Lake City and the surrounding area around Salt Lake County had a magnitude 5.7 earthquake. And then they had, just moments ago, another, I believe, tremor hit as kind of an aftershock, if you will. And I do not know too much about whether there's been a lot of damage. I'm trying to read some of the quick news notes that we have. There was a lot of panic, a lot of concern, and all we can tell you is that it was a 5.7 earthquake that did rattle Salt Lake City. Let's see, it would have been about an hour ago, I believe. So, here we go. More news. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I received a couple of calls this week, and normally, excuse me, I would treat these negative calls as water off a duck's back. But it shows that what the media is telling you is trash, and it's got to stop. When I say this, I'm talking about who cares. Caller, stand by. Who cares even a little bit about whether China is offended about the United States and the world referring to the coronavirus as the Chinese virus, which it is, or the Wuhan flu, which it is? I am so tired of this so-called political correctness culture that is stupid, and our media is siding with China, saying that we, and me, and you, are bigots, racist, and xenophobes for saying it's a Chinese virus. It is, and that's the way it's going to be reported on this program. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Well, regarding that, we had the Spanish flu, and I will never forget the Hong Kong flu. I had that.
Yep.
Oh, that was awful.
Yep.
And, that's just how they reported things, is from their source. So I don't know why everybody is anymore getting so crazy over this stupid political correctness.
Well, let me ask you something. Linda. Have you ever played Chinese checkers?
Oh, yes. Love them.
All right. Have you ever opened up a Chinese fortune cookie?
Yep.
And
Chinese fan.
Have you ever used the utensils to eat called Chinese chopsticks?
Yeah.
So I guess we're going to have to stop saying that, too, because we're bigoted if we say that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, gee. By the way, I felt that earthquake this morning.
Oh, my.
I was in bed, and I thought, is the cat in here walking on the bed? It wasn't very hard, and I don't suppose it lasted more than 5 to 10 seconds, but I got up and went out and asked the HomePod what time it was, and it was 7:11. And I didn't feel this last shock they said they had, so it must have been less, which is a good thing.
Well, I'm sure.
Hit the second one.
I'm sure. And Wheels, we've got a little feedback on the line here this morning, buddy. They said the shock was felt from Lehigh, Bountiful, Harriman, Eagle Mountain, Park City, Salt Lake City, and some said, right here to solidify and verify what you said, reports are saying that there were the quake was felt in Idaho. So I'm sure you're right.
Oh, no, not another one.
Well, listen.
And you don't know until you have that second shock whether it's going to be worse or not.
Absolutely.
I don't think it was worse. I hope everything's okay there.
I do, too, and it's just a sign of the times that I think, and I'm going to say this, and if it offends somebody, here I go. I don't care. I don't think you do either. I mean, we're at a time where we need to kind of dirty our knees a little bit and get down and pray. We've got a lot of things to pray about.
We do.
And we've got a lot of things to be thankful for, too.
Yes. Absolutely, because gratitude makes a whole difference in our openness to God.
Absolutely.
And then, like you say, we need to pull the wagon together.
There you go.
We need to help each other. And I've gotten some beautiful emails from organizations that are giving us scriptural quotes about fear and trust in God and prayer and reflection, and I think it's wonderful that they are sending these things out.
Amen.
We do need that encouragement.
Amen. Linda, you are always a blessing.
What you are doing.
Well, thank you. God bless you and stay safe, my lovely lady friend. Thank you very much.
God bless you.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Maybe see you next month at Lunch Bunch.
I hope next month we can do it. Believe me, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
But we'll work it out, and we'll be back.
Okay. We'll be back. You sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, dear. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you, Linda. Bye-bye. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I guess no more Chinese checkers, Chinese chopsticks, because we can't say the Chinese virus or flu. Yes, I will. And I do point my finger and the blame after all the doctors and everything I've talked to. By the way, we have another great doctor, an expert in microbiology, coming on the program this morning at 9:30, Dr. Dean Hart. And we're going to just absolutely lay this out about the Chinese virus, the coronavirus. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Dino Septic Service. These are really good people. They care, and what a service to the community. Septic tank pumping and liquid waste removal, septic inspections, and sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, backhoe service. They are tremendous, and we've used them, and they are good. Fast, fair, friendly service. Number to call, 436-6526 or 678-1638. I mean, they pull in the yard, get the job done. Dino Septic Service with a big truck that says smells cargo on the way to serve you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah.
Yes.
I called my daughter in Sandy, Utah, and she said the quake, the center of it was about 20 miles away or out towards the Salt Lake area. And she lives in Sandy, and she hardly felt anything.
Mm-hmm. You know,
she says everything is okay, though, with her.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I am glad to hear that, and I hope there wasn't any damage or extensive damage. I hope there wasn't any injuries. You know, Bob, it would be interesting to know, for those that monitor these situations, if it was out in the Salt Lake region or out towards the middle of Salt Lake or whatever, maybe with the epicenter. I wonder what it did as far as causing any waving, any tidal waving effects that may come towards shore.
Well, she didn't say anything about that. She was just getting up out of bed when it happened.
Okay. Well,
and so, but she is on the rescue, sort of the rescue team. So she's got to hurry and get ready and dressed and go for rescue or wherever she's needed.
Would you do me a favor, and if you have any more correspondence with her, if you'd call me, I'd appreciate it.
I'll do that, Zebedee, and thank you, and have a good day.
All right, Bob. God bless you, man, and I mean that. Thank you. Don't forget Sophie's Cookies. Every Monday, we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. What a restaurant. What a bakery. Oh, my. You know, maybe you want to just treat the kids that are home from school and say, hey, we're going to have a whole bunch of cookies made up, and you call Sophie's and tell them what kind you want. Or maybe you want pies or you want cakes. They do a tremendous job with their bakery, and, oh, that restaurant is delicious. Let me tell you. Stop in, 530 East Street in Rupert. Every Monday, cookies we provide to you, the winner of a trivia contest from Sophie's Chatterbox. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. The whole world's shaking, and the stock market's certainly been shaky for sure. And but I hope nobody's been injured by it. But because everybody with this canyon out, everybody assumes we are in an earthquake zone, Zeb. But actually, that's not the case. This is a very quiet area, but then you get over to eastern Idaho, up through Idaho Falls and Rexburg, and of course there was the Chalice quake, that killed that little girl in 1980, I think it was. But, we get involved in, the media now has just scared everybody to death about the virus, and on the average, last year we had 34,000 people died of the flu, all ages. and this thing seems to be mostly affecting, just the elderly people. The average death age is 80, and there's, on the average, 187 people die of the flu last year in the U.S. of A. Every day, and we've only got a little over 100 total.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Wait a minute, Adrian, please. I got to jump in and we got to have a conversation together. It can't be one-sided, please. I agree with what you're saying, but then on the other hand, now is the time for caution. Because of the spread and the numbers have escalated by hundreds and hundreds every night, I am going to say this, and I'm not going to go on and on about this morning. I'm going to say that we have to exercise extreme caution. I am going to say to the millennials, not all of them, because many have common sense, many don't. The ones that are not showing any common sense and are going against some of the big gatherings, and they're having all the spring break and the parties and everything else, they could be carriers because they're younger, stronger, etc. They could be carriers, and they could be going home and kissing grandma and having all kinds of problems spread through the whole family. Now is the time for common sense and not finger pointing.
We're not using common sense. That's the whole thing. We're totally blowing this thing way out of the water. We're going to destroy the economy over a virus, generally speaking, that's not any more virulent than the flu for sure. I'm sorry, Zeb, but we need to do all of the sanitary things we can, and we don't need to be coughing on people. We need to be scrubbing our hands. We need to not be rubbing our noses and our eyes to where the infection points are on our body, and all of those kind of things. But, it's unbelievable. The media's got everybody scared to death, and it's really unrealistic as far as putting the country. Now, New York City, people are going to have to stay in their houses, and they won't even be able to get outside to get some sun, free vitamin D, which is helpful for the immune system. I mean, this is just, I'm sorry, total overkill, and it's all about grabbing power. I sent you a report about the Rockefeller Foundation using a pandemic so that they could grab their globalist power. They want to destroy this country.
All right. I appreciate your comment, and I always agree that you're on top of things, but I'm not going to get into this anymore this morning as far as more scare tactic, and this is wrong, and it's a phony, it's a hoax. All I'm going to say is we have a problem. I don't care if it's the flu or the coronavirus or whatever. We need to be very cautious during these times. We're seeing many things that we need to be very reactionary to. And when I say reactionary to, we need to take on the offense instead of the defense with the hand washing and trying to stay away from people, not coughing on people, spreading germs. I don't care what your thoughts are about whether it's a hoax or not. I think the elderly are very susceptible, and we need to have concerns for these people, and I'm going to leave it at that right now. I've got calls stacked up, Adrian, and I do appreciate you. God bless you. Thank you.
You've got to realize there's people out there that are using this to get total control over our lives and liberty.
I agree with that to an extent, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Wheels, thank you very much. And right now, I've got to get these good words on, and then I'll take my next caller. No, as a matter of fact, I'm going to take the caller first. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I was watching Fox News yesterday, and they had this guy on there saying somewhere, and I didn't get the whole drift of the story, but they said 200 nurses were furloughed and quarantined, so they couldn't work. And I think it's back east. But
it's in Connecticut.
Immediately, people started calling and saying this guy is lying.
Yeah.
And he was lying.
I know he was.
I wish more people would stand up and tell the truth.
Okay, now let's break this down a little bit. And again, Wheels, a little feedback here. Number one, it was in Connecticut. And I hope that this person that's involved in politics and also in the medical profession, I hope they absolutely lay his skin bare to the public for criticism and scrutiny, because he lied. He absolutely lied. Now, I'm going to throw this one at you. And I'm getting sick and tired of all the manipulation and the finger pointing, and you're to blame, they're to blame. The people that are to blame for this virus and the status of which we have in the world today are the Chinese and their sloppy handling at Wuhan of a virus. I don't care how it started. I don't care who started it. It started over there. And now it's spread across the world and has become a pandemic. We have an MSNBC analyst yesterday that suggested, listen to this idiocy, using the coronavirus to prosecute Donald Trump, our president, for homicide and murder. Now, this is the insanity that is going on out there in the world today. I was promising my wife I wouldn't get mad today, but I am convinced that most of the Democratic Party and its inmates are ridiculously dumb.
Well, they're getting their wish. They wished with all their heart to have a recession, and they're doing their best to get it done. But the point I wanted to make is, if you see somebody reporting something that is not true, speak up.
Trust and verify.
That's what you gotta hear.
Absolutely. Keith, I go to great lengths on this program, and you've commented on this when you've called in on occasion, that everything I put on this doggone program is going to be straight up A1, honest, or it's not going to go on the air. And when I hear this idiocy from a guy by the name of Glenn Kirshner, an MSNBC analyst, saying that because he's a lawyer and he wants to try to prosecute our president of the United States for negligent homicide or involuntary or voluntary manslaughter for the coronavirus, this is lunacy. It's got to stop.
It's got to. These people need to be prosecuted.
Well, I just don't know where common sense is going to start to take over. But so far, and I think I can say this, so far the Democrats have not showed me in any way, shape, or form that they can be reliable, honest, and sincere.
Well, I'm going to tell you what happened to me down in...
No, you're not, because I've got calls stacked up, Keith, and I've got to go to those calls.
With a Bernie hat on.
Oh, boy.
Now, I felt like ripping that off his head and stomping on it. So I know how these people that are wearing the MAGA hats feel.
Yeah.
Because I just instantly had, I guess you would call, hatred toward this person that I didn't even know him.
Well, this has got to stop.
It infuriated me and also taught me a lesson.
No, well, this has got to stop, Keith. I mean, the animosity and the finger pointing and this loon that is on television and getting paid, Glenn Kirshner, specifically whether Donald Trump may have criminal exposure for some kind of negligent homicide or involuntary or voluntary manslaughter for the way he's mishandled the coronavirus. I'm just going to have you respond one, and don't go lengthy on this because I've got a lot of calls waiting. If you were president of the United States today and had no clue, nobody did, that this was looming on the horizon, how could you have handled it better? And like Joe Biden pointing the finger of criticism at Donald Trump, my goodness, we're looking at a pandemic that nobody saw coming down the pike. What would you do differently, my dear friend?
Well, I can just say this. If you always tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said.
Amen. God bless you, man. I appreciate it, Keith. You and Nancy are dear friends. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You bet.
All right. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Zeb. I called Newsline for the Blind and picked up the Utah Associated Press and got just a little bit more information on that earthquake. It was just southwest. The epicenter was just southwest of the city. It knocked out power to some homes, and it brought the light rail system to a halt. It shook for about 10 to 15 seconds. Most people felt it about that length of time, and about 2.76 million, they think, felt it. But it's doesn't sound too awful. Thank God.
Yes, thank God. Those are the best words of the whole conversation. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, bless you, Zeb, and I will leave you with that and keep going. And I don't know why we have to blame President Trump for everything. We never say anything good that he does if we're against him, and we blame him for everything else that we can find.
Absolutely. Thank you, Linda. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Honestly, come on, folks. Whether you agree with me or disagree or hate me, I couldn't care less. This kind of lunacy, this lunacy on the left of saying this is all Donald Trump's fault. Why, there wouldn't have been a coronavirus problem. People wouldn't have died if he weren't the president. I mean, come on. And to go on national television and say that he may consider, because of his being an attorney, a prosecuting attorney, he might try to look for ways to prove that Donald Trump provided negligent homicide? Oh, caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning. Hey, I think President is doing a good job. He's calm, cool, and collect. Now, you don't get so riled up about how dumb people are. Get calm, cool, and collect with how smart most of us are. But look at our little own valley here. Every farmer is going to plant every crop from road to road, so nothing is going to change other than hearsay. But the actual world is going to continue on. Our valley is going to continue on as if nothing happened.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You made a comment, and I'm going to jump in on you. I totally agree with everything you said. Everything. You and I are on the same page. But you're not sitting in this chair. You're not taking the heat and the opposition from the other side. Let me talk, and then you can jump in. And you do not know what's being said or being done, and I have to talk about the negativity because these are true facts. When you have a major political party in this country that gets on the national media, and don't tell me that it's not important and we can just poo-poo it away, and you have a stupid attorney, which he is, saying that he's going to sit down with his board of directors and see if they can't come out and find ways to prosecute our president for literally murder because of the coronavirus. These are things that everybody should be upset about and fight back.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'll take that as word of advice, because I just look the other way, and I always say, it takes two to fight, so.
I can't look the other way, sir, because we're even looking at problems here in this state, and God bless you for your call. I mean, it took some backbone to call in, and I appreciate you. But look at what's happening here in this state. There was criticism of our senators and our congressmen because they introduced a bill to stop transgender men that pretend that they're girls from trying to compete on girls' teams. And they also introduced a bill that would stop people from changing the gender on their driver's license. I'm glad those bills were introduced. I hope they're signed by the governor, because we've got to restore some kind of sanity and moral value in our society. And if we sit back and put our heads in the dirt and go, come saw, let's see what happens, I don't want to argue. I can't be like that, because there's a right and a wrong on every issue.
And that's why people like listening to you, Zeb, because you got the right answers, attitude, and demeanor. So that's why we listen.
Well, it doesn't do a lot for my blood pressure, though, my friend. Hey, God bless you for your call.
I'm going to rise tomorrow morning.
I certainly hope you're right. Thank you. God bless you, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Okay. time.
All right. Caller number 2, I'll be right there. I got to tell everybody, and I want to tell everybody about Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. These people are so good at what they do. They know the equipment that's going to get the job done for grading and leveling and lifting and digging and pushing and carrying. Why, they've got all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators and all the Bobcats. They got a brand new inventory in there for this spring, and I urge you to give them a call or stop in. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Napa location for the best. Barry Equipment and Rental, serving you. Caller, thank you for your patience. Go ahead, please.
You're welcome, Mr. Bell. You know, I am really sick and tired of President Trump being blamed for every single thing that happens. Why don't we start putting the blame on where the blame needs to be put? The Democratic Party they've tried everything they can to get the man out of office. Now China has released or leaked this virus and causing mass hysteria. We need a lot more common sense and a lot more people to stand up and say, you know what, enough is enough.
Donna, when you hear, and thanks to that last caller, I appreciate that, man. I'm going to take a deep breath and go, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, the Karate Kid. But when you hear stories about MSNBC and their analyst, this Glenn Kirshner, saying that he is going to sit down and study ways that he can go after President Trump for some level of negligent homicide, you got to throw your hands up in the air and say, the good Lord must love dumb people because he made a lot of them.
Well, I wanted to reach out and be like AT&T and touch somebody.
Yeah.
President Trump acted immediately when the news was out, when the comments and the proof that the virus had leaked out. He put in a travel ban, and they got mad at him for putting in a travel ban.
Yeah.
Hello?
And then here, I'm so glad you said this, because then here is the complete oxymoron, okay? We are going to close the borders between Canada and the United States. Meanwhile, 3,000 miles south, we're having open borders, porous borders, and people are coming across our border that are so sick with many and varied diseases we don't know what they are. Come on!
I know it. Now, you need to take another deep couple breaths and get your blood pressure under control. But, you know, I mean, in all reality, Zeb, this is just ludicrous. I'm not living in a bubble. I don't want to get sick and die. I don't want my family to get sick and die. I don't want my friends to get sick and die. But come on. Let's have some common sense back into civilization. Use common sense. Stay safe. And go on with your life.
You know, and the whole thing is...
Leave President Trump alone.
The whole thing boils down to this. It's time... forget the party politics. Take that Democrat label or take that Republican label, throw it on the floor, rip it up, stomp on it, forget it. And let's pull together as human beings.
Yes, I totally agree. That's what we need, but I think we're some of the only people, and, you know, God bless your listeners. You know, they're trying hard.
Oh, yes.
You know, I clean houses for a living, Deb, and I go into these old people's homes, and I see the terror in their eyes. You know, some of my ladies and one gentleman canceled because he was afraid.
Yeah.
And it's like, I understand it, you know, and I can go along with it, but, you know, you've got to remember, if you just use common sense, stay clean, stay away from people who are sick, you're going to be okay.
Yeah,
and we are going to be okay.
Yeah, and let me add something as an addendum to what you said. I would say this, all of the above that you just said, Donna, but then also, if you do get the coronavirus or the flu right now at this time of the year, don't get nervous. Don't panic. Don't run to the emergency room. Don't run to your doctor. Sit down and analyze what people are saying. Call medical professionals, seek answers to your questions, let them evaluate how you are and what stage you're in as far as any severity, and they will handle it from there. In this, the greatest world ever of providing medical science and medical procedures for people, don't panic. This too shall pass.
It will. Instead of one more comment, and then I'll let you go. Instead of stocking up on toilet paper and all that stuff, it's going to take you years to do. I stocked up on flu and cold medicine.
Yeah, well, you know what? I can't blame you for that. If you're susceptible, myself personally, I'd like to stock up on T-bone steaks. But anyway, hey, God bless you for your call. Thanks, Donna.
Have a good day.
Okay, thank you much. Caller, I'm sorry you had to wait so long. Go ahead quickly, please, and then I'll do the weather.
That's fine, sir. You're everyone, and I didn't catch all of it, but everyone calling in is just certifying how much some of these people want control and hate President Trump. I don't like to use the word hate, but they actually hate the man, I think.
Have you ever in your lifetime, and I think you and I are fairly close in age, I got
you beat a few.
Well, regardless of that.
No, I've never seen a mess like this.
I have never seen the hatred, and I'm going to say this to you, and I want you to respond. Okay, give me a short answer. I will say this now. If, and remember that word and underline it, if this terrible virus was unleashed upon the world for a purpose and destroy economics and destroy world economies and destroy people's lives, I hope and pray that the responsible parties not and have absolutely no life ahead of them and they rot in hell. And the people that have suffered because of this are absolutely, this is hideous as to what's happening. I'm not saying that is a possible if, but it's a speculative if. And if this was released to hurt people and hurt the world's economy, it's doing the job. But then you have idiots like this attorney saying that it's our president's fault and trying to get him for murder. I mean, sir, this is the lowest of the low.
Okay, we are officially back, and the power is back up.
All right, thank you very much. I understand that we've had a power outage, and all of this really, are we coming through on the air right now, Wheels and Gina?
Yes, sir. You're
okay. All right. All of this, Gina and I talked while we were off the air. We did have a power outage, and Deanne came in on the dead run and said, you're off the air. And Gina and I talked. We don't know. We're just kind of coming up with theories, but all of this seems a little odd that we'd have a major power outage like this morning, especially after the aftershocks and the original earthquake down in Salt Lake City. Maybe there may be some power connection there, and I know that Scotty and Gina are working on it at the station right now. I need to get a weather forecast in here, and then I'll take some more of your calls quickly. I apologize. We were all of a sudden just bumped right off the air. I heard a large pop in my ear, and it wasn't a pleasant pop. But anyway, we're back. Right now, the weather brought to you by our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and of course, don't forget, they are the very best for your hearing health. Right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, treating all your hearing problems with the best of diagnostic tests. You get a hold of them today, 312-0957. And right now, here's Gina with the weather. Wheels, here is Gina with the weather, correct?
Yes, sir. I apologize. For some reason, it's not playing, so I'm going to have to figure out what the issue is here.
Well, okay, you find out what the issue is, and we'll just tell everybody the weather's been a little nasty already this morning, with the temperature here at about 35 degrees, and snow did fall earlier this morning, but it looks like the next couple of days things are going to clear up a little bit, according to what Gina had said earlier, and we're going to have sunny skies, and maybe not the warmest of temperatures, but up into the 50s, mid-50s, higher 50s for the next couple of days, and that, of course, is a very rough weather given to you by me, and that's sponsored by our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And believe me, hearing loss often happens so gradually, so don't let it get worse and worse and worse. Get it addressed with a hearing screening at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And the number to call for an appointment, 312-0957.
So you just get the live weather forecast this time until I get it figured out.
Did you hear what I gave as a synopsis of the weather? Not nearly as good as yours, but I will let you, with your silver-throated tones, tell us.
Well, we are expecting mostly cloudy skies for today, a little bit on the breezy side, but that's going to move through. Some rain showers are going to be in effect. Snow showers up in the higher elevations. We are expecting a high of about 50. Tonight, that's going to be tapering off, low of about 30. Tomorrow, it's supposed to be better. Sunny skies, high of about 52. And as we look ahead towards Saturday, looks about 56.
Let me ask you a quick question, because I've only got a couple of minutes left, and then we'll probably go off the air again. But this is a headache. I've been in the radio business since 1969, and when you have power outages and transmitter problems and everything, the general public does not realize the severity and the running around like a chicken with your head cut off trying to take care of everything.
We were off air for less than 3 minutes total.
Yeah.
And honestly, for Scotty and I being in the building and having to get the building back up and operational in less than 3 minutes, I'm giving myself and Scotty a pat on the back, because that's unheard of. And thankfully, we have a generator that powers us, so we're going to definitely, if people can hear me, and we need more diesel generators so we can continue operations until power comes back on. We're not exactly sure why we lost power. I'm still trying to dig into that, and I'm not going to make any kind of speculations about what's happening down in Salt Lake City that could be affecting us. It's likely, but I'm not going to make that speculation. So
I want to just say that a lot of people don't realize that you and Scotty do not wear normal clothing to the studio in the morning. Both of you wear track outfits like high school track participants, so that at a moment's notice you can get up out of the desk and take your Nikes and burn the soles off trying to run around. But the thing that's a little disconcerting for me before I do my Les Schwab commercial is picturing in my mind's eye Scotty in a pair of track shorts. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly right. You should have seen us move. I mean, we were straight up moving and flying. So let's get back to it. Just as a side note, if we do not have the network feed, because I'm still trying to assess and to make sure all of our systems are a go, you might not have network news, so you might want to stick around, okay? So
that might not be possible for a few minutes at least. Yeah. I will be here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Gina. God bless you. Great job over there. And what she said, less than 3 minutes, I mean, the drill, the practice that they have to go through and everything to get these things back up and running is amazing. Wow. I want to talk about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and all of them are very concerned and taking care of your welfare. When you stop in for your tires, your brake service, your front end alignments, shocks and struts and batteries, they really have a very, very clean waiting room and are waiting to serve you and then get you back out on the highways again. They are celebrating right now a great big spring tire sale, and you can save a lot of money. So stop in and get the best of tires for your car, your SUV, your horse trailers, boat trailers, everything at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They are there serving you. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland and Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Right now we're going to send it over to Wheels with music and take us up to CBS News.
Nope, I'm going to have to restart the computer because we're not getting satellite feed, so just tell a couple jokes.
Well, did you hear the one about, no, I can't say that one. I got to go to page 3. So I guess we're not going to go to the CBS News, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What we will do, and I don't know why people at this time are calling me on my cell phone to tell me we were off the air, I guess. I can't take those calls. I'd love to have some calls, so we're going to turn this into a great big party. Everybody give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Love to hear from you. And, Wheels, I'll tell you what we could do, possibly, is if you're not going to get a network news feed, maybe I could do a couple of commercials and you could get Dave Bego on a little earlier. How would that be?
I can definitely do that, sir.
All right.
Would you want to take a caller real quick?
Sure, you betcha. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Go ahead. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Welcome to the world of the insane trying to make things better. Good morning. They're not coming up, Wheels.
Oh, oh, hold up. Yeah. He's plugged in.
All right. Are you there, caller?
Oh, okay. There you go, sir.
Oh, am I on now?
You are, sir, and I apologize. It was no one's fault that you got cut off. We had a huge power bump, so I apologize.
Yeah. Well, speaking of power bumps, a little quickie, I've got a bunch of family that lives in Salt Lake City, all over the area down there. And one of them is up south of the epicenter, and they received a little breakage in their house. Mm-hmm. Stuff falling and whatever. My daughter said there was between 35 and 40,000 customers off with power off. It shook up downtown, I guess, pretty nastily from what she's saying she's hearing. But anyway, that would finish what I was going to say earlier, other than I'm with you. I hope if this was done with this virus as something to create havoc, yes, there's nothing that's too harsh for those people.
You know, when you look at the world situation today and the hatred that has been thrown at this administration and particularly this President Donald Trump, no matter what he does, no matter how situations are handled, good, bad, or ugly, he is always going to take the brunt of the blame and the shame from the left side of the aisle. And I personally, as a talk show host, I see these stories every day. I listen to all these Looney Tunes that are coming out from underneath the cracks in the floor, and you got to get sick of this after a little bit, because you tell me, sir, in all your years here on God's great earth, have you ever seen a president that has been maligned from the very first day of inauguration and everything has been negative against this man?
Yeah, like I've heard said by some other radio people, he could cure cancer today and they'd find something to accuse him of.
Yeah, but, there's got to be some kind of a retroaction against... Pardon?
Middle of the road.
Well, yeah, middle of the road.
So we can get along and work together.
Absolutely, but when you have MSNBC analysts coming out and saying, because they are a lawyer, saying that they're going to figure out ways to prosecute criminally our president for negligent homicide on the coronavirus, this is the kind of lunacy that is absolutely got to have the door slammed in its face.
Yes, the door must be slammed in its face, and hopefully it's got bars on it.
Amen. Yeah. Thank you. Very well stated. God bless you for your call back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. You have a good one.
All right. So thank you very much. Now, normally, under normal conditions, we would have the CBS News going on right now, and I do know that over at the station, again, it's like a track meet. Gina and Scotty, Wheels, all trying to get things back after a huge power outage hit the station and our power sources, and we're running on, as far as I know still, generator power. And Wheels, do you have anything to add to that at all right now, or is Gina there?
Gina's actually right here, sir. We are just finally getting the computer back up and everything so you can get your news. Other than that, hopefully we can keep this going and we won't have another...
Now, she made a plea a moment ago for diesel for the generator. Is that plea still needed? And if so...
I believe that plea is still needed.
All right. In other words, if anybody's listening out there...
Get some more diesel fuel in here.
Okay, if anybody's listening out there in Radio Land and you've got like a 5-gallon... this is not funny, it's serious. A 5-gallon can of diesel in the back of your pickup, please go to the radio station and get a hold of Scotty and Gina so they can keep that generator running during this off time from the actual power source. And I believe I have another call coming in, so Wheels...
Hey, sir.
Yes, sir.
Gina just wanted to let you know that if you did want to take a few-minute break, we can go to the news.
All right. I'll tell you what, we'll take this call first, and then we'll see what we have afterwards, okay?
All right, sounds
All right, I believe we have a call coming in, and we'll see if that call is for us this morning. I love live radio, and you get these things thrown at you on occasion, and very unfortunately, they've been very numerous within my career since 1969. You have these power outages, and you have to ad-lib and everything, and kind of fly by the seat of your pants, but it's the staff over at that station that absolutely deserves a great big pat on the back. And I mean Gina, Scotty, Wheels, all of a sudden everything goes into a real turmoil situation, and they came out and did a great job getting us back on the air. Wheels, is that call for me?
The call is for you, sir.
All right, go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
Times like these, it makes you appreciate times when everything runs smoothly.
Well, yes, but we love those smooth times, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And that's a mental picture I can't get out of my head. Scotty in running shorts.
You know, I don't even want to go there because there might be little children listening.
Oh, Scotty's a great guy.
He is.
He's got a great sense of humor.
But what we're talking about this morning, and we're going to talk for a minute or so, and Wheels is going to get my next guest on the phone, but when I heard this about this MSNBC analyst Glenn Kirshner, who is a criminal lawyer, what are your thoughts about this? I mean, this has gone way too far.
It has gone way too far. They have been trying, ever since President Donald Trump was elected, to find a crime to prosecute him on. And they're still trying to find crimes. I mean, the left has got to be all happy and giddy because of this coronavirus and what it's done to the stock market. They think that's the only way to take this president out, but it is not. The people of this country are smarter than that. The people of this country know what President Trump has done and can do and will do, and is doing it without a paycheck.
You know, Doug, my biggest concern is, and I know that my audience, as a matter of fact, you are part of that audience. I am so impressed at my audience and the way they can see through the smoke screens of the loony left. But I hope and pray, and I mean this when I say this, I hope and pray in the larger populated areas, be it San Francisco, are you still there, Doug? I'm hearing a closure on that phone line.
Oh, no, he hung up, sir.
Oh, I hope he didn't hang up for a special reason. I just hope and pray that the larger populated areas are understanding the same way our audience here in Idaho is, that this president does not deserve this evil treatment by the left. Wheels, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give, like we are just starting the hour, and then I'm going to go through our series of commercials before our guest. Are you ready to play those over there when I call for them?
I am, sir.
All right, thank you. We're into hour number 2, and we did not have the news because of a power outage. We're back on the air with standby power, and I just want to remind everybody this is Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with a really, really big, major spring tire sale going on right now. Also, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. And right now, Wheels, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Western Way Services, thank you very much. And as a matter of fact, I've got a truck out here right now, and they just dropped off a dumpster for us. And they can drop one off for you, too. If you're doing the spring cleaning and the cleaning out the garage and everything else and need a dumpster, they've got them in various sizes. So please give them a call at 734-6969. Western Way Services, serving you. I want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Hello, Nick and the whole crew. You know, they are so concerned with everyone's health and well-being that at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, they literally all day long are making sure everything is cleaned, everything is ready, everything is ship-shape for you to go in and make sure that you have the best of physical therapy, exercises, and the use of their hydrotherapy pool. Don't forget, they're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call for an appointment, make that appointment today, 678-1191. The very best people serving you, and they know how to take care of your injuries or recoup from surgery. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 678-1191. Real quick, the great big spring community sale at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds going on this Saturday at 10 a.m. Do not forget it. And if you've got consignments, call them in at Ron Rogge at 431-6187, Cade Rogge at 431-0074. Call now. They're taking consignments all the way through Friday night at 5 p.m. That big sale is going to be on Saturday, March 21st, this weekend at 10 a.m. at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds and managed by Rogge Auction Service. Whoa, what a morning. Good morning back in Indianapolis, Indiana, my dear, dear friend, Dave Bego. How are you?
I'm doing good, Zeb. How you doing?
Well, we just got hit about 10 minutes ago with a huge power outage, and we're on emergency standby power right now with our generator system, and it's kind of thrown everything into a tailspin, and I just want to salute again our staff over there at the station for an excellent job. Dave, I wanted to get you on this morning and talk about your part of the world, Indianapolis, Indiana, the Midwest in general. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you involved in as far as what I see a lot of panic going on with the coronavirus? What's your take on what's going on?
Well, Zeb, I think I've even told you this last week. I think this coronavirus is a media political thing. And, they're really pushing this and getting people riled up in that. But, here in Indiana, our number of confirmed cases right now is only 39 cases. We have had 2 people pass away. They're older people, which is sad. But, we're not seeing it that much. But on the other hand, we as a company, we're in the cleaning business, and we have very strict things going on right now at our offices and our customers' offices across the country, and we're having to go in and clean them and over-sanitize them again and again, and they're, of course, with our supply company, they're calling us asking to buy all kinds of sanitizing products and, hand wipes and desk wipes and disinfectants and just all kinds of stuff and masks and that, and we're out there working on all this for all of our customers across the country, and it's really working our people hard, but we're staying on top of it.
Let me ask you this, Dave. At the beginning and the onset of this coronavirus, I made the statement on the air. You and I talked about it, as a matter of fact, on our segment, where I thought it was another way for the loony left to gain more control. But I will also say over the last couple of days, I've reanalyzed a lot of what is going on, and I do believe that with the flu season and the coronavirus now imperiling a lot of people across the United States, I am going to do all I can to not only keep myself and Deanne out of harm's way and take care of ourselves, but I still think that people need to be very cognizant about maybe not going in large groups, not trying to go see grandma or grandpa and putting their arms around the aunt and uncle, etc., that are of elderly age. I just think caution should prevail. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you 100%, and those are the things that we're doing, and we're putting out to our employees and customers and vendors and all that kind of stuff, and recommending to them. And we have customers all over the country sending us things, wanting to know what our pandemic program is, and we had this put together over a week ago, and we've been sending it out, and it includes in there just the things you talked about, and and the states are really pushing down on things, here, and I know it's been in many other states, but here in Indiana, the governor came out Monday and said he wants all restaurants and pubs and bars and that closed down. You can't have anybody in there to eat or drink or do anything like that. They do allow carry out, but all the schools across Indiana have been shut down, and they're trying to do things to keep people away from each other and let this thing get defeated and go away.
Okay, but now I'm going to play devil's advocate with you a little bit. I agree with the premise of what's being done, and we need to nip this thing in the bud and slow the curve down to where it's completely flat-lined, and hopefully the virus is stopped. But do you agree with what they're doing in the closures and the shutdowns and all the sports activities and everything else? Do you agree in the entirety of what they're doing, or do you disagree?
Well, it's still kind of early on to see how much this virus is going to spread and contaminate. But the big thing, Zeb, is the ways that it can get passed on to other people is through the air, and so coughing or sneezing, or people have it just breathing around other people. That is a real concern, and of course shaking hands or something like that. And there was an article that came out this morning, they're even talking about the restrooms that's being pushed around by fecal material. And I think it's good that they're slowing these things down now. Whether they need to be slowed down for as long as they're talking about, I'm not sure about that. I think we're going to find more and more and get on top of it more here in the next week or so.
You being in the cleaning business and understanding germophobia, if you will, people really concerned about it and everything, what transitions at the last minute or the split second did you and your company have to make, or were you already on top of all this?
No, we were already on top and putting things out and getting our employees, our custodians and that on top of things, and getting the right chemicals out there to combat this stuff, and we've been on top of it, and I think we have to do that. And like I say, it's going to take a couple of weeks to really know where this is going. I don't know what it's like out there, but I know you're a Christian, and that I'm a Catholic, and the Archdiocese all across Indiana came out yesterday, and they canceled all masses and prayer services and anything going on in the churches because of their concern with the same things.
Mm-hmm. I want to go one step further on this, if I could, and I'd like to talk a little bit about a problem that I have witnessed firsthand, and I'm sure perhaps you have also, is the erratic and sometimes mindless way that people meet a problem like this, and they run to the stores and they just buy, only thinking of themselves and their family, and are so selfish about not thinking about anybody else. And I'm talking about the toilet tissue, the hand cleaners, the sanitizers, and everything. It's ridiculous the way the hoarders hit the store. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree with you, and I've been out to do some things, and pick up things that my wife wanted me to pick up and stuff like that, and it's crazy. And even in the supermarkets here, my wife she went in and buy some things, and almost all the shelves were empty, and people are just stocking up on everything, and I think people are overblowing this and going wild on this. But again, I think a lot of this comes back to the press and the media and what's going on. And I wanted to tell you about an article I got here. It's the coronavirus versus your rights. And just to note the obvious, what is going on with our various government agencies all the way up to the governor's office, and this was out of Arizona, by the way, is exactly how it started in communistic countries. The boiling frog story all over again, and too many of us are willing to hunker down at home, barely willing to peek out windows. Government and despots around the world now learn just what it takes to control entire populations, even the 350 million in America. And it says, get a grip, everyone. And and then they go on to talk about what people have done, and we just talked about going in and buying things and all this kind of stuff. But this is what the left is trying to do to us.
I agree.
And at the end of this, they suggest that the left is using coronavirus to prosecute Trump for negligent homicide.
Well, and I've got the facts right here in front of me, and I can give names because it was turned into my office early this morning by a friend of mine that works in the news agencies back in Washington, D.C. MSNBC analyst Glenn Kirchner, who is also a criminal attorney, said that he would like to go after President Trump and may have criminal exposure for some level of negligent homicide for the way Trump, mishandled the coronavirus. This is how low and how deplorable the left can be.
Yeah, but here's the other side that I found interesting. There was another article that came out that the liberal New York governor, Cuomo, stunned the press and everybody with praise of Trump and how he's handled it.
Yeah.
So, the left they're fighting themselves, but the far left is really the one putting this pressure on everything, because at the end of the day, with this being an election year, they want to bring Trump down in the election in November, and this is part of it. It's kind of like the impeachment thing we went through.
I agree with you entirely, and we have a caller with a comment. Go ahead, caller, quickly. You're on the air.
Well, actually, this is more of just a news update for you. I really don't want to interrupt your show, Zeb, but I just got off the phone. As everybody knows, we're kind of in a power outage right now. So I just got off the phone with United Electric, and the Rupert Studio, of course, we are back up on generator power. According to United Electric, the outage is affecting, so far as we know, Rupert, Minidoka, and Asequa. Crews are out in the field trying to find the source of the outage. As soon as the outage is lifted and they can restore power, they'll call us, they'll let us know.
May I say this, and Dave Bigo, you're back in Indiana. Gina, stay on the line. Dave, I want you, if you would please, to give our staff at K-Bar a great big salute from you in Indiana. They did a wonderful job, got us back on the air in less than 3 minutes so that we could have this conversation. Dave, give kudos to Gina. I know you've talked to her in the past.
I think that's great, Gina, and praise to you and your staff as you've done that. And Zeb, I heard that there was a earthquake over in Utah that probably caused this, and I hope it hasn't hurt.
Well, we don't know. We don't want to speculate.
Power outage is due to the 5.7 earthquake that happened just inside of Magna. That was the epicenter in Utah. Continual aftershocks are happening. And I know that down in the Salt Lake City Valley, they've got an estimated 60,000 homes without power right now.
Right. Yeah, speculation right now, Dave. We don't want to say definitively.
Good work.
Well, we don't want to say definitively it was caused by the Utah earthquake, but there are tangibles that need to be connected, and if anybody's going to connect it, it's our staff over at K-Bar with Gina and, of course, our dear friend over on the board right now. Is he still there wearing his track uniform, by the way?
I am, sir, yes.
He is.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to let you go so I can
Thank
get
you.
back to my show. But if I have any more news updates for you, I'll call you in.
I appreciate it. I love live radio. Dave, going back over to this situation with the MSNBC analyst Glenn Kirshner and others on the left that are using and utilizing anything they can for negativity to go after the president. What do you think the net result's going to be? I mean, there is a large percentage of the population that agrees with them and follows them like lemmings over a cliff, but as we draw closer to November, what are your thoughts?
I think that, once we get through this and we get into the election process, and it looks like Biden's going to be the Democratic nominee, and Trump gets out there and he's moving around the country, I think it'll move back, strongly in his favor. I really do. And but it's sad that the left feels like they have to do things like this to take control of this country and bring it down.
I have to ask you about what I would say is one of the most largest oxymorons I've ever heard in my life. There has been talk this morning by a lot of the senators and congressmen, the president, other people, well, we're going to shut down the northern border between Canada and the United States. My goodness, Mr. Beagle, why don't we exercise the same caution and employ the National Guard or whomever on the southern border, because that's where all the disease and the illegals are coming from. My goodness, it seems like we're going to protect the northern border, but leave the other one as porous as a sponge.
I agree with you 100%, Zeb. And again, this is, because of Congress and stuff like that and getting things done and deployed and spending the money on it is tough for the president. But this is what we ought to do. And, I tell people, if you go back and read my blogs, I wrote for about 4.5 years after my second book, The Devil at Our Doorstep, came out. One of them, or a couple of them, were on immigration and the fact that the left wants the borders open because they want these people coming across and to use them to do their bidding, and also they get them in and let them vote at polls without being certified Americans, and also the unions want them coming across because they look at unionizing these people at some point and collecting the dues money.
I want to ask you about one other topic this morning, and you know me, I'm not going to ever be politically correct on this program. But when you hear the criticisms, and there's been so many on the liberal media, whether it's the CNN, the MSNBCs, whatever, oh, well, you can't blame China with the Chinese virus, this coronavirus. You can't say it's the Wuhan flu because that's xenophobic, and we can't do that. And anybody that does is a bigot or they're a racist. I'm going to call it like it is on this program. This virus came from China. This virus came from Wuhan, China, and that's where the blame for this great big contagion belongs, and I'm going to call it as it is. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you 100%, but as I've told, again, on your show many times, the media is controlled by the unions, and they're telling them what to say and what to do and how to go about it and everything, because they want to bring down this president. They want the Democratic to have the presidency, the Senate, and the House, and so they can turn this into a socialistic, communistic country and control us. And this is what it's all about. And, the union that I fought, the SEIU, I don't know if you know, they've been supporting both Sanders and Biden, and they've contributed $150 million.
$150 million. Real quick, I've only got a minute left here. What do you think's going to happen? Do you think wild-haired Bernie is going to throw the towel into the center of the ring today and quit? What are your thoughts on this?
I don't know. I think Bernie will stick it out a little bit longer, but I think in the end he'll throw it in and be done.
And what about Joe Biden when they have to put him on stage by himself and answer questions without any deflection to someone else? I think the man's going to show his possible senility. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think so. I think as it goes through in that, and he has to debate with Trump in that, I think it's going to show that his physical and mental condition is not very strong.
Dave, I appreciate you kind of bearing with us on a short power day, but again, congratulations and kudos to my staff at K-Bar. They did a wonderful job over there, and I just want to wish you the best and stay healthy, my friend. God bless you, Dave Bego, back in Indiana. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Zeb, and I pray for all you people out there and all your listeners, and that they stay healthy through this.
God bless you, man. Thanks. Dave Bego, a dear friend, and I mean that, a very dear friend, back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Nobody would know more about the cleaning and the cleansing and the cleanliness of businesses, structures, etc. than he is and does, because that's his business. A very large company back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Okay, let's see. I also want to draw attention to the fact that Joel Heward, his family, and his staff over at Hanson Mortuary, serving you and your family in a time of need when there's the passing of a loved one. Always, of course, providing the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. And remember this, upholding the highest values, highest ethical values and standards, and unquestioned integrity. They care, and they will help you. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-5636. I'll repeat that one more time, 436-5636. Joel Heward at Hanson Mortuary. And Joel is also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Great big shout out this morning, again, to the staff over there for the excellent job they did in getting us on the air as quickly as possible. But I also want to give a shout out to our friends at Let's Ride. We're coming up on spring, even though this morning, it's really funny. I look out my studio window here at the ranch, and I see a whole bunch of angel dandruff on the ground. Snow fell at about 5 o'clock this morning here at the ranch, and it's not melting nearly as fast as I thought it would. And but we still got to consider the fact that in a few short weeks we'll be able to get outside and get your motor running on a four-wheeler from Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. And believe me, along with all the 4x4s, don't forget too that they're going to have an open house on April 3rd. Open house on April 3rd. Remember that. All the accessories, the best in service at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They are waiting to serve you because that's where the fun is sold. Really good people. Let me take a look here before we go to our next guest. If you're over in that neck of the woods in that area, I also want to remind you about our friends over at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, employee benefits, retirement planning, all of this every day, serving you, your families, and your businesses. I urge you to pick up the phone and call 436-4424. They are very dedicated and responsive to your needs. All you got to do is say, help, and they'll do it for you. Todd and the rest of the crew at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. That number again, 436-4424. This next man, and I better check with Wheels first and foremost. Wheels, did we get through our doctor? Is he on the air?
To be honest, sir, I've tried all three numbers, and I haven't gotten a lick yet. So
well, keep trying. Just keep trying those numbers. We are hoping and praying that we can get through to Dr. Dean Hart, and he is an expert in microbiology, and he was going to come on this morning and talk about the coronavirus. And so we had three telephone numbers. Deanne, I'm going to ask you to come in here and try some of the numbers. Wheels can't dial them all at once, and we'll try to find where Dr. Hart is or perhaps is not. That being said, calls are welcome and appreciated at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, and give me a call. We'll talk about any subject matter you want to talk about this morning. While we're waiting, I want to say also that if you're tired of the wind blowing through your property, how about a row of trees that you can plant this spring? And Doreen McMurray has, they're going to have a lot of trees available. You can start planting those windbreaks right now. And I urge you to check out the seedling tree sale provided by the Cassia and Minidoka Soil and Water Conservation Districts. For more information, like I said, Doreen McMurray and others, call 208-572-3369 or 208-436-4202. Did we find the good doctor?
I've not had anything yet.
All right, keep trying, my friend. Thank you very much. Keep trying. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A little note I'd like to throw out to parents that have college students, if you would, please. I think it's rather selfish at this time, very selfish at this time, for the younger generation basically to ignore what's going on in the world and have an attitude of me first and everybody else second. And I think that all parents should kind of tell their students to be careful, beware, and observe the problems that the coronavirus is causing nationwide with the infection rate and also the detriments to our elderly in our society. And we all need to pull together on this. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Again.
Yes, sir.
You know, in 1968, I was briefly an insurance agent, and I'd taken all the tests and passed all of them and everything, and I did it for about 6 months, and then I went to selling cars. But one thing I learned is some of the rules and regulations. Now, you see these things advertised on TV about sell your insurance policy. To me, that is the most distasteful thing I've ever heard of, because a whole life policy, and that's the only one they're interested in, you can actually borrow the money that's in your account there, which is about equal to what they would give you. But the advantage is you would still have the insurance.
Yeah. You know, Keith, it's interesting that you would bring this up, and I'm going to say right up front, that I do not know or have studied this situation to really give a good professional answer, yay or nay, but I know the ad that you're talking about on TV. And when I first heard the ad about you can sell your life insurance policy, I questioned the value and the integrity of that ad and what they were trying to do. Like I said, I've got to be a little careful here because you're stepping on rocks in the water. I don't know how deep the water is because I don't know all the answers to this, but I think that someone that has put money into a whole life program, a whole life insurance program policy, and then to sell it and leaving that person or the husband and wife lacking for security in the future, nobody knows what's going to happen. I find that to be very, very careless.
Well, it doesn't even make any sense when you know the facts, but a lot of people don't know about insurance. Like term insurance, it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Well, it's for a term.
It all depends.
It's for a
I'm not
term.
interested in those.
Yeah.
Because they gotta keep it until you die, and that's not what they want.
I and you bring up a really valid point that that's going to make for a good discussion with a bona fide life insurance agent, and we're going to try to get somebody on. Deanne's just handing me a note right now. Wheels, pay attention to this, please. Call the doctor at the last number I gave you, the 516-681-0274. Call him immediately. Did you hear that, Wheels?
Yes, sir.
All right, right now. But I will go ahead, Deanne, thank you very much. Keith, I will go ahead, and I'm going to try to find out more information about this and do a segment on it, because I think after all the money that you've committed to that policy premium, and for the years that you've made the commitment on a whole life policy, to just sell it when the person is still alive and or with his spouse, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, my advice is, if you need the money, draw it out.
Yeah.
It's your money. It's not belonging to them yet.
Absolutely. Well, Keith, I tell you what, we're making plans to get the good doctor on the program right now, so I'm going to have to terminate this call. I'm going to do a commercial, and by that time, Wheels should have him on the air. Keith, thank you so much.
You bet.
All right, sir. Thank you. Don't forget 7K Metals with your silver purchases. And I've said this many, many times on the air, and I'm going to keep on saying it, that I'm so glad that I was introduced to this silver purchase with 7K Metals. Adding and creating your own security bank, if you will, through silver purchases, and also creating a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. I'll tell you what, you need to find out more about how you can build your financial security and your future through silver purchases. Contact my friends Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259. Please tell them that I told you to call, and find out a lot more about 7K Metals and silver purchases sent right to your home. Wheels, do we have the doctor on the air?
Yes, sir, we do.
All right, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so glad to have this man come on our program, even in an abbreviated segment. I want to say a good morning to an expert in microbiology, Dr. Dean Hart. Sir, how are you?
Oh, good. How are things in Idaho?
Well, you know, that's kind of a speculative question, because everything's changing every day due to the coronavirus, and that's one of the big reasons I wanted you on the program this morning, because you know, and you're going to state the facts. I think a lot of people in my audience would like to know.
What you got in Idaho as we speak?
I beg your pardon, sir? You were under my voice. I couldn't hear you. Go ahead and repeat it again.
I'm trying to look in Idaho what the incidence is. Do you know how much you have there?
I think they're minimal. I think that, quite frankly, I think we're under 30 cases that have been observed and reckoned with, but that's about where we're at in the state of Idaho. But across the board, with your expertise, what are we talking about coronavirus? How serious really is this problem?
Well, I'm at the epicenter in New York, where the highest rate of it exists in our country. Of course, overseas is another story. Within our country, what's going to happen is the people that came from overseas and contaminated Washington, the coasts, New York, Florida, everywhere along the coast, that came first. And it'll work its way into the whole country. So we're in this all as one country for sure. Now, Canada and Mexico, we won't get into that. But Idaho, whether it's high or low now, it's good to be low because it'll take longer to get there. And if we're lucky, we'll have a vaccine, maybe a treatment, but the vaccine's more likely. And if it goes there slower, you're in the best shape in this country.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Hart. Again, with your expertise, we every year have serious viruses with the flu, various strains. There are literally thousands of people that pass away with the flu. Why should we be more concerned or less concerned with the coronavirus versus the flu?
Okay. I just found Idaho, and you've got 9 active and 0 deaths. The reason that you should be tons more worried with the coronavirus is it's between 7 and 40 times more deadly than the flu. The flu has a death rate of 0.1%. The president, and the advisor yesterday said 0.7%. So that's 7 times more mortality rate. And this thing is so contagious that it's going to spread through our country. We can measure contagiousness rate, and this is well above the flu, 2 or 3-fold more.
No.
One little caveat. We know the data we have. The data is incomplete. I believe there's data being withheld, so we really don't know the ages of who dies. We know when you're older, you're more likely to die, and if you're immunocompromised, more death rate. But there's normal people that are going to work today. If they get this virus now, they're not going to be doing much of anything in the future because there is a definite death rate for 50-year-olds and 40-year-olds.
All right, let me ask you this. In my area, and of course, I am also a senior right now myself, and so I'm going to voice concern and a lot of questions regarding the elderly. Now, when you look at people that are 65 and over, they can't just exist in their homes and not open the doors and not step out on their porches. They need items, they need groceries, they need medications, they may have to go to doctor's appointments, etc. How are the elderly going to not be susceptible to this coronavirus?
Okay, the elderly are definitely going to die at a much higher rate, and I'm no spring chicken myself. So I don't know where 62 puts you, but it's not. Over 60 is a higher risk. Over like when you're 80, obviously. But you asked the question that we're experiencing right now in New York because the National Guard was called up for one town in Westchester. The city is battling the mayor versus the governor. It's a spitting contest, and they're peeing on each other, saying we should lock down the city, and we shouldn't. On Long Island, where I live, there's just as many cases as in New York City. Each issue, I could tell you exactly what's going to happen because it's happening here in New York right now. I assume in many other states it is too. When it comes to food, you can get it delivered. I can't. In the city, you can get it delivered easily. In the boonies, it's going to be very hard to get delivered. Doctor appointments only for medical emergency, not well-care visits or not things that you can postpone. But at this point, in Idaho, I get everything done at the doctor's office. If I need new glasses, get them now. It's 9 cases. You probably have very low rates. And what's going to happen is going to get worse, most likely, unless Jonas Salk comes back and gives us a new vaccine. He was the one that invented the polio vaccine. We need this vaccine. This is a serious thing. Nobody in our life, well, a few people in our lifetime have seen, that are alive still, have seen polio. But that was a horror. But they didn't quarantine everything because it was different, very different. They quarantined some areas. It's contagious, but this thing seems more contagious. When it comes to groceries, that's the main thing you need, or medicine. And that, if you can get it delivered, that's the best going forward if you were in New York.
All right.
But
Doctor,
I'm not in New York, so I wouldn't worry. But in New York, we assume everybody. We got to make the assumption in New York everybody has been exposed to the COVID virus, and anyone we interact with can make us sick. But most of us don't believe that we will get sick. We still go out. We still do our things to some extent.
Right.
Courts are closed. Schools are closed. You name it, it's either shrunk or closed.
Let me say this, and I want to ask it in blunt terminology, not for being theatrical, but just asking it the way it needs to be asked. If someone of an elderly age, 65 and up, comes down with the coronavirus, it's not necessarily a hemlock society. It's not everybody's going to die. Not everybody's going to receive it in the same level. Is that true?
The vast majority will not die die if you're 65 and get coronavirus. Make no mistake, the vast majority of people any age don't even get symptoms or get little symptoms or get a slight cold and fluff it off, and they don't even realize they're sick. So that's the vast majority. So I wouldn't say anything like close to death diagnosis, even if you're 95 years old. Although I might be a little more cautious if I was 90 years old than if I was 62 years old. Yes, I do be a little more cautious, but death, you get it, you're probably not going to die.
What are some of the treatments that a person, if you know that you're getting a sore throat and you feel like you've got a fever and you feel like you got run over by a school bus or whatever, are there treatments that a person like similar to the flu can do in their house and not get out on the street and go expose others?
Well, it seems to be the same. If you want to avoid the flu, you wash your hands a lot, don't touch your face, etc. You've heard those precautions time and again, and it's true. Minimizing this is equal to minimizing the flu. Now, let's assume you catch the flu. Now, if you catch the flu and you get the 20% of the coronavirus, get really sick as a dog. And if you get sick as a dog, you're in the 20%, the unlucky 1/5. How sick you get, you can take care of yourself. Half the people probably can take care of themselves once they're 65. The other half should go to the hospital because that other half, the 10%, they may need a ventilator. And that's why it's such an emergency. If we get everywhere the population is aging, if we get a massive amount of people going to a hospital for ventilator care because they get that worst case scenario outcome that is not unheard of at all. We won't have ventilators in hospitals here. They're on the verge of picking and choosing who lives and dies because without the ventilator at the hospital, you can't home treat when it gets that bad. Where you draw the line to call the ambulance, that's a good question. Your governor will no doubt, right now it's probably just telling you to wash your hands, but your governor will take different actions as the normal, unfortunately, the normal process works its way out there. It's contagious, much more than the flu, so it will get there. They landed from the planes in New York and California, so they got here first, and Washington. So they land in the coasts, these people that got contaminated in, it looks like, China, and then they landed here unknowing they were hurting anybody. These are good people that wouldn't want to hurt another human being. But they didn't know they were sick. They didn't know it was a pandemic. It certainly was not a pandemic when they started getting New York and Washington sick. There was no pandemic. So these people are harmlessly traveling. It's just the nature of globalized economies that germs travel, and it's the nature of a nation that the germs, unfortunately, will travel there, too, eventually. But maybe we'll have the vaccine. If you stay clean, stay calm, stay out of places where there are big chunks of people, that should be really effective in Idaho, seeing how you only got 9 cases. You could avoid it big time there. This is the right state to be in now. In New York City, people are paying big this statement. They live in New York City. They're talking about quarantining New York City, as I said. The governor and the mayor having the pissing contest about closing up New York City lockdown like they did in other countries. So the governor says no, the mayor says yes. So everybody, these rich people in Manhattan are spending, they're spending for a $10,000 rental in the Hamptons where there's social distancing. They're spending $100,000 a month for that rental because they want to get out of Manhattan before the you-know-what hits the you-know-what. If there's a lockdown, and then everybody gets it. It's much better to be in the Hamptons. Oh, but it's even better to be in Idaho. Lucky dog, you.
Doctor, real quick, and I've only got 3 minutes left, and I need to ask this question because of your expertise in microbiology. The virus, How was it released? Why was it released? What kind of accident occurred? How did this spread so fast? I mean, can precautions be given and taken that this never happens to mankind again? Give me a quick synopsis on that, please.
The last answer is absolutely no. It will happen again, not if, but when. This is a zoonotic virus. It means that it's transmitted from animals that have it, be it a camel, a snake, a bat, a chicken, a bird. These things will happen in the animals, and then they'll go to humans. They'll jump. This is particularly contagious and much more deadly, but not as deadly as SARS and MERS. MERS and SARS and Ebola are much deadlier. So this isn't that deadly. But it's deadlier than the flu, and it's deadly enough to be freaked out if you're president of the country. What it is this virus is a little small in the wavelengths of light, the viral diameter of this thing. It's an RNA. It latches onto you. It has to invade our cells to reproduce, but it's pretty good at that. It's been around, the coronavirus been around before Pharaoh, so it'll be around long after we're gone. The thing is, it has different strains, and some strains are obviously worse than others in bacteria and virus and every kind of infectious disease. So what you have to do is, I assume they described how to wash your hands the best way, but it could take me a minute or two. So wash your hands properly. Read all the CDC's recommendations to avoid the virus. Your state should go on the megaphone on every street and see the CDC's avoiding it, because if you can avoid it long enough, you'll never get it. There's got to be a vaccine someday, I would think, or hope.
I want to say how much I appreciate your taking the time out of a busy schedule, and I know you must be very busy today, especially. This expert in microbiology, Dr. Dean Hart, God bless you for your expertise and your answers this morning. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Feel free to call me if you got any questions.
I will, sir. Thank you so much. A very nice gentleman, and I'm glad to have him on the air. Dr. Dean Hart, and back in New York State, as a matter of fact. And he is also a assistant professor at Columbia University for the Physicians and Surgeons School. So we were very fortunate to get him on the program this morning. I am running really late. Weather forecast brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years, with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, and retirement planning, all of this and so much more, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Got to get through the showers of today to hit the sunshine of tomorrow. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting rain and or snow showers off and on throughout the day, mostly cloudy skies. Winds out of the west at about 7 miles an hour. We are expecting a high close to 50. Tonight, that could continue with a low of 29. Tomorrow, we will see the sunshine. Winds coming out of the east at a slight breeze, expecting a high of 51, overnight low of 29. 54 under sunny skies for Friday. And as we hit the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, sunny skies, upper 50s. That's a look at your weather forecast for Step at the Ranch.
Thank you very much. As I said, I'm running a little bit late right now. I want to remind everybody about Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. This is busy time, tax time, serving you, your families, and your business with the best of accounting services as they have for the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. The best in Burley and Rupert, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Woo! Want to quickly remind you about our friends that we talk about normally on Thursdays, but we're going to do it today because Sharon's going to handle the program for us tomorrow. And we want to tell you a little bit about it, if you're hungry and starving to death, where you can go. Listen to this. The AC Drive-In at 601 East Main in Burley. All the burgers of all types, fish burgers, hamburgers. And they've got it all. All the tater tots, French fries, all the delicious shakes. You're going to find exactly what you're looking for, including my favorite, the famous Farmer Brown Burger at AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. How about Taco Bandito? 2301 Overland in Burley. I love that pork burrito with beans, pork, rice, sour cream, and cheese, or their breakfast burritos. Knock your boots off. Delicious. Great place to eat, great menu. Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. 2 great burgers, etc. One at 124 South Oneida in Rupert, the other one at 700 Overland in Burley. Oh my, don't forget corn dogs and burritos in the afternoon, $1.29 each. Whoa, here I come. And don't forget delicious fish and shrimp and halibut baskets for Lent. All of this along with the rest of the menu choices at 2 locations of burgers, etc. 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland in Burley. Last but not least, Steve-O's at 290 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Food made the way you love it. Cheesy broccoli spuds and the buffalo burgers and the delicious cupcakes. Oh my goodness, all the menu choices and really nice people serving you at a really popular place to go eat. Steve-O's at 290 South, 600 west of Heyburn. And those are just a few places to go if you're hungry and starving to death. Wheels, I gotta ask you real quick, will you release me from this chair for a few minutes, and do you have the CBS News?
I do, sir, so you are released.
I'm free! We're turning it over to you. I'll be back in 7 minutes. Oh, good morning and welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch on a Wednesday, March 18th. My goodness, I almost said 16th. I lost a couple of days. 18th already, the day after St. Patrick's Day. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and all 7 locations involved in right now a huge, really big spring tire sale. Save money. Drive on the safest of tires. Stop in and see them today. Also, our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And our friends at Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. And at Greystone Crossing, they absolutely are right up on top of everything. Protecting the health of their residents is the highest of priorities every day. But even more so at the front of their consciousness, as they all say, we're witnessing the effects of coronavirus across our nation, and they are doing everything to protect their residents at Greystone Crossing. And their residents are staying in their Greystone Crossing home and foregoing shopping and outside family visits, but believe me, they're well taken care of with meals every day, 3 meals a day, snacks, along with housekeeping. Excellent facility, beautiful 12-room bedroom facility right there at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Call for an appointment to see the beautiful facility at 650-4979. Matt and Kelly Wiggins at Greystone Crossing Senior Living. Well, we haven't done this for a long, long time. I can't even remember the last time when we basically talked to our friends at the Idaho Fishing Game via the telephone and a landline. And with us this morning on my landline is the regional supervisor. He's over in Jerome. I'm here. Craig White, how are you?
I'm doing great. Zeb, can you hear me good?
Not on the speakerphone. I'd really like you to be on a handheld if you could, because there's too much echo.
How about now?
Oh, 1,000 times better. Thank you so much. The one thing that I don't have today that I always look forward to is the very neat, never a mistake, never a typo, double-spaced list of all we're going to talk about.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, I'm sorry about that. Normally I walk in and hand that to you, and away we run, and it didn't even cross my mind today, because I thought you were, pretty much could read my mind by this point.
Well, I'll play like Johnny Carson and Karnak, and so I'll try to pick up the brain waves, but until I really get a good connection, what are we going to talk about first and foremost?
Well, we got a bunch of topics, and we can cover them in any order you want. We have the March Commission meeting coming up this week.
Okay.
We had a bunch of plantings and hunter ed classes scheduled, and we can talk about the impact that that the coronavirus is having on that. Want to talk about some of the hatcheries and fish stocking and sage grouse. And sturgeon. So it's kind of a little bit of fish and a little bit of wildlife and a lot about how we're going to try and still be very responsive to hunters and anglers and trappers out there. So.
Well, let's start with the commission meeting. When, where, and what time, and why?
So you may recall from past discussions, and maybe your listeners do too, that in the past on these commission meetings, and these occur about every 2 to 3 months, they meet more than half the year, and some of these meetings are getting just updates, information, hearing kind of how things are going. Some of these meetings, they have action items where they're often what those action items are in January, at the January meeting, a March meeting, could be season setting or adjustments to it. This year, since we went to every 2 years having setting deer and elk and other big game seasons, this was kind of the off year where there wasn't much planned, but there was a few items. And as part of that whole commission meeting, the night before, it would have been a chance for the public to come in and share their thoughts and ideas. And that always occurred the night before. Well, things have changed, and with the governor's direction, we're an executive agency under his direction. There is the layer of the Fish and Game Commission, but they set seasons and directions. The governor overall guides the state agencies, and so cutting back on meetings as far as present and gatherings is a big priority. And so that Thursday, this meeting was scheduled for the 19th and 20th, with the 19th being the night that public testimony could be given. That activity in the evening has been canceled. It's not required that we hold those. We've always done it. The commission's always done it because they want people to be able to have a chance to address all of the commission at once. But with everything that's going on, that has been canceled for Thursday night. The commission meeting Friday will go on, but it will be done remotely. The commissioners will stay in their regions. They and 1 or 2 employees from the department will meet in each region, and it'll be a WebEx type meeting where we'll use technology. They'll all be able to see each other. They'll be able to do the business that's necessary to do on Friday. We have streamlined some of that business to mostly action items and a few things that had to be updated. And as a result of that, the public can listen in, but not at the regional office. There'll be a way for them to listen in, and that's still a work in progress. So if anyone has interest, I encourage them to give me a call at the office, and we will get that information to them on how to do it as soon as we can.
Okay.
If they want to listen in to that commission meeting.
Okay.
But, some changes there.
Let's do it this way. Let's go down the list with you playing quarterback and me the wide receiver, and I'll catch whatever you throw, and we'll go from there. What's item number 2 on the list this morning?
Well, item number 2, this time of the year, we start to do some planting, shrub planting. A lot of this is in areas that have burned. We're trying to improve it for deer and elk populations and other big game populations. And as a result of that, we've always had a really good participation by volunteers. And because, once again, of just the whole state trying to do business a little differently, most of that's outside. Most of that, the big term out there is, social distancing and other terms like that. And we could certainly in an event like that, help people spread out. But there's still the gathering. There's still carpooling to get there, and I think in general people are a little nervous. So we have canceled the planning for April 4th north of Gooding. In fact, all of them are kind of on hold right now, and we're looking at other ways to get that done. But volunteer activities like that have been postponed or canceled at this point. If anyone has any questions, they should call in the office and ask questions. And I guess I should mention right now, we are keeping the offices open. The only person that can close an office is the governor, and we are doing our part to, while in the office, just like a lot of businesses that are open right now, trying to keep things cleaned, wipe down with disinfectant, that sort of thing. We're not encouraging people to necessarily come in for simple matters that could either be handled over the phone, or if they want to buy a license, a tag. Right now, there's still options to do that online. There are options at their local vendors. If the vendors are still open, like a Walmart, to get them there. We still are open to do that business too. I'm just encouraging people to handle what they can over the phone, handle what they can online, but we're certainly here. We're certainly taking protective measures, wiping things down. Our staff are trying to, work somewhat, with distancing throughout the building, because we certainly want to do, our part to be good community people.
Let me ask you this on the planting, and normally, how many people would turn out on a given day for volunteers to do the planting?
Well, we just had one this past Saturday before direction was given to shift everything, and we were aware, and we did talk about it ahead of time. But like I said, we felt we could cause, just because we're on the hillside, space people out. But it was scheduled for 60 people to show up.
Okay. Okay.
We didn't have 60 people show up, and I think part of that is people are starting to choose not to participate in those events and hunker down. And that's pretty common size of attendance for one of those plannings.
Well, Craig, the reason I asked that question is that what is your window of opportunity to get those planted? I mean, are we still talking about the feasibility possibility in April, the feasibility possibility in May? Are these subjects that could be postponed and still taken up with the surety that it will grow this year at a later time?
Well, everyone knows here in this area that when it's time to plant, you better do it, because you never know what a month will bring.
Yeah.
But often, the reality is often in March and April, you can push things around for a little later, to mid to late April, even sometimes depending on the year. Early May, we had such a late spring last year. There's places we couldn't even get into until May, but it looks like a little different spring. We'd like to get them done, so we're actually looking at potentially trying to find some contractors that could get in and get the work done. It provides a boost to the economy.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't put people at risk unnecessarily from the community who are volunteering out of the goodness of their heart to help.
Yep. And we're all going to have to pull together.
It brings people together.
Yep.
It allows them to participate, but the key word there is it brings them together, and right now we're being asked not to do that. So,
well, like I started to say a moment ago, I mean, we all are going to have to pull the wagon together and go through some maybe not real workable times to the point where it's easy for a lot of people, but we're going to have to do it and get through this. And I still think we're going to emerge out of this thing and look back and say, my, that was an interesting time, but not devastating, I certainly hope. Number 3 on the list of Craig's must-talk-about list.
Well, that would tie right into everything else. I'm going to sound like a broken record here, Zeb, in no time, but all hunter ed and trapper ed classes are counseled in person.
Okay.
Hunter ed classes can be taken online until we resume in-person classes. The field day component will be waived. There may be an opportunity and requirement later, kind of once this passes, as you mentioned, that for folks that did the online and have the field day component passed to come back in and have that experience of a field day component. But we are counseling those in-person classes, both hunter ed, trapper ed. Like I said, they can be taken online, and that's recognizing that we have some big dates coming up. We start taking controlled hunts for what's often referred to as the trophy species or once-in-a-lifetime species. That's your sheep, goat, moose. That time period is coming up in April where people put in for those. In 1st of May, we start in with the big game controlled hunts for all the other big game species, deer, elk, pronghorn. So those are coming up as well, and people that are trying to get that class so they can have their hunter ed certification, buy a license, put in for the controlled hunts. It's really kind of bad timing if they were trying to finish up that in-person class. So we will shift those to online, and if people have questions on how to go about that, just have them give us a call here at the office.
Well, like I said a moment ago, I mean, there's going to be some time in this spring, and I think the old adage, this too will pass. If everybody will be just really, laid back and not get mad and understand the situation and still get all the information, it all should work out.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's the key thing for us right now is we're shifting some stuff. We're trying to be good, responsive community members at the same time. That's what we're trying to do is keep everybody able to experience some of their normal activities with fishing game to the best we can, because I do think it'll pass. And right now, it's just about distributing information and how we just help one another experience this without people getting too upset and too angry or too scared.
Now we go to item number 4 on our hit parade.
Well, that would be a non-resident fee increase, and for most of your listeners, this obviously won't affect them. But there are some of your listeners out there that it may. So it's been the legislature and the governor signed this. The commission had asked for an increase in non-resident fees, and there's a reason this ties into another piece of legislation that is out there and action, and that was the commission would like the ability to address what is perceived by resident hunters as hunter congestion. Idaho has been a great place to come hunt deer and elk, always has been. In the last 6-7 years, we've actually had upswing in our hunt in our populations of deer and elk. That's probably over the last 2 years. The population of deer and elk have tampered back down a little bit in some areas. Some areas it's still gang busting, but bottom line is it brought people. People always came to Idaho, but it brought people back. In 2008, 2009, with that recession, people kind of dropped off from coming to Idaho. Well, over the last 3 or 4 years, they've really came back strong. Really goes back 6-7 years, and as a result of that, we do sell out of our non-resident tags. There is a cap on our number we sell, but we do sell out on them. We also have people moving to the state, more residents, and so you have more residents, you have non-residents showing up, and residents have just felt like they go to some game management units that are over-the-counter tags, areas where they can just walk in, and when you get your tag over the counter, you can hunt there, you can hunt anywhere, but a lot of residents feel there's some areas where a lot of non-residents kind of congregate. As an example, just north of us in this part of the region, Unit 43 has become a popular deer hunting spot for both residents and non-residents. And in some cases, there's 20% of those hunting that area are non-residents, and residents would like to see that, altered and a lower percentage of non-residents hunting there, more closer to what happens in a controlled hunt.
Mm-hmm.
In a controlled hunt, only 10% of the non-residents can hunt, and so residents would like to see would like to see some caps on over-the-counter hunts as far as
Wheels, are we back on the air? We had another power bump. Are we back?
We restored, and we are now officially back on United Electric Power. So resume as you were.
Thank you, Sergeant Gina. Appreciate that. Craig, are you still there?
He got hung up, sir, but I'm going to call him right back.
All right, you call him back. Tell him we had a power bump, and we'll get him back on the air. While I'm waiting for you to get him back on the air, I'll also take the opportunity right now to tell you a little bit about our friends at Patterson's Electronics. Oh, my goodness sakes, they know all about electronics. Matter of fact, Deanne talked to Curtis earlier this morning. He's going to be on our business salute, I think, next week, I believe, on the air. Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley. They've got everything as far as your electronics needs, and they're open Monday through Saturday 9 to 6. I mean, all the cords and the cables and all the great selection of television sets, Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. My goodness, technicians to set these up and ready and raring to go. Home theater systems, video surveillance cameras. Oh my goodness, complete sound systems. And if you have questions, they're there to answer them. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Telephone number to call, 678-6997. Right now, let's see if Wheels has got our dear friend Craig White back on the air. Good morning, Craig. Are you back?
I am, Zeb. I figured you just got tired of me talking and hit the kill button.
Oh, my goodness. Now you know what we do. No, not at all. We've had some power problems this morning, power bumps, and I really appreciate the job that Scotty and Gina did over at the station getting everything back on. So we apologize, and we caught you right in mid-sentence in regards to the last subject that you were talking about. So I'll let you pick it up if you could, please. And then in about 2 minutes, we're going to go to a hard break and come back with more.
Well, I guess I'll just sum it up real quick that, I think Idaho hunters can expect some changes over the coming few years in participation by non-residents in over-the-counter hunts as far as the level of participation. And as a result of that, it turns out that non-residents, while they're close to about 13% of our licensed hunters licensed with tags out there, they actually provide about 60% or more of the budget that comes in as far as from tags and license sales. As a result of that, with the expectation that we expect to see fewer non-residents participating, there was a non-resident fee increase to kind of offset that. And the reality is Idaho's a great place to come, and these fee increases when you look at the western states, they don't put us over the top of anyone else. They put us kind of more from the bottom middle to more the upper end of fees for western states, but within reason, really, of what people get to experience. It's a bargain.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Craig, real quick, and I've only got 30 seconds, and then I got to cut back to our main studio for a break, but we're going to be talking about sturgeon. We're going to be talking about wolves in the next half hour. What other topics do you have on your list this morning? And we encourage people to call in and ask questions.
Well, this time of year we usually talk about sage grouse and shed hunting and fish stalking. So,
all right. Well, we're on the air with the regional supervisor. We're doing things a little different today. We're doing it via the phone instead of in the studio where Craig and I can throw paper clips at each other. But we invite you to call in after this break and ask questions with Craig White, the regional supervisor of the Idaho Fish and Game. And we're going to take a short break, send it over to Wheels, and we'll be right back.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh my, we're going to have more with the Fish and Game in just a moment, but don't forget the great big anniversary sale at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. Up to 4 years, interest-free on approved credit. Holy moly! Starts tomorrow, Thursday, March 19th, goes through Saturday, March 21st. 40 to 50% off furniture and mattresses. Woo! What are you waiting for? Martha, warm up the car. Here, let's go to our great friends at 459 Overland in Burley. Jeff and the crew at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. This is a big sale, a huge sale where you can save a lot of money on the beautification and the comfortization of your home. Check it out. All the recliners, all the love seats, all the carpet, all the flooring, all the mattresses, everything. Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. Right now we're on the air with the regional supervisor for the Idaho Fish and Game, and that's Craig White. And Craig, sage grouse, a topic that's hit the newspapers and the news stories, television and radio for quite some time. What does it look like for the populations of sage grouse, and what do you need to tell us about them this morning?
well, we're going to find out what it looks like for over the winter. We start our sage grouse monitoring on Friday. In fact, some of the leks, that's the place where the males gather and strut around, and the females come to, check them out. That starts on Friday. Some of our areas we've gotten out already this week to start making those counts. We count the number of males that show up as well as the number of females, and it's an indication of activity and as well as kind of a trend of whether we're up or down in number of males strutting and indication of the population. It's an awesome thing to observe. It's one of those things, where people are trying to do social distancing right now, where you could get out, you could observe some wildlife. Same with fishing, although some ponds get pretty crowded, so I'm not sure how much social distancing happens at some ponds, but those are activities that people don't want to go stir crazy with spring coming that could get out and about. Shed hunting is another one that people have been doing or will start to do. We just ask, though, that people remember that right now it's probably not as critical as in past years since it's been a pretty warm spring and a lot of the snow melting, but just be aware that when they're out shed hunting, there's still deer and elk on the landscape. Mm-hmm. They're still vulnerable for some stress. Mild year this year, so it won't be as bad, but try not to bump the animals. And that also goes with just people like to sometimes get out and recreate or use their UTVs and ATVs to go shed hunting. We encourage them to stay on the roads, and if it's a wet, muddy, messy road, to be respectful and not take their rigs on those. It causes a lot of problems for all the users out there. So just want to remind people that, encourage them to get out and enjoy the spring, though, in a good, healthy way.
Let me ask you, and you're probably going to laugh at me for this naive question, but as far as the sage grouse are concerned, and you said people might want to get out and really observe this, it's really an experience, how do they find them? How do they know where to go to find these leks, etc.?
Well, there's some well-known leks out there, and I'm not going to prefer not to give a list over the radio.
No, no,
I could call in and we could talk to them about a few. Some of them are fairly close to a highway, and so they can observe them either from there or just walk in a short distance and do that. It's an activity that needs to occur about a half hour before sunrise to about the first hour and a half, 2 hours after sunrise. By that point, after that 2 hours, they start to break off and break away from the legs and go. But there's a couple of places, and we're happy to share some of that information with folks. Like I said, these are some well-known ones. There's probably some people in the community that are avid outdoors people that if they know, they can also ask them. But there's one kind of north of Gooding that isn't too far off the road. There's some up in the Rock Creek drainage up in Blaine County by the Timberman Junction that are visible from County Road. There's some over in the Oakley country, so they're scattered out in different places. There's a lot south of Hollister in that area.
I see.
So you're looking kind of for a cleared area, low brush or no brush, and these are areas that return to year after year, and it's a pretty neat place. Pretty neat thing to observe.
Absolutely.
Like I said, we're happy to, if people call in, to give them a few pointers of where they may go and look at some. We just ask that they try and do it with little disturbance.
I'll tell you, of all the things that we've talked about on this program, as long as you've been on it and even prior, the sturgeon, the Idaho sturgeon, for some reason that being fascinates me more than anything else. Here we're talking about, what is it classified as, a mammal or whatever, living down at the depths of the Snake River or whatever. How did they get here? Where did they come from, by the way?
Well, they originate, back to term, prehistoric times, and they're one of those, longest-lived species, and so, sturgeon are pretty amazing creatures. They've been in the system for a long, long time. And they stretch in Idaho, still stretch. There's some that are kind of put up in Minidoka area, and they stretch from there, all the way down the rest of the Snake River and on out where the Snake goes into the Columbia and all that. There's also some up in North Idaho, sturgeon up there, and some of that systems up there. They can grow up to 10 to 12 feet long. They're very long-lived. Not only have they been around a long time, but they can live a long time, an individual. And, we're talking the lifespan of a human with some of these things, and they get to 10 to 12 feet tall, or long, excuse me. And so, pretty neat thing.
Well, let me ask you this question.
Recently improved some access on our Niagara Springs wildlife management area. There is sturgeon and the snake tend to congregate in holes in the river, deeper areas in the river that tend to be slower moving at that point, and they tend to congregate around these holes. We had two of them on Niagara Springs Wildlife Management Area, and we've improved access to them. We're calling them Sugar Cube 1 and Sugar Cube 2. Sounds like an appropriate name to really go enjoy some sturgeon fishing, because, sturgeon fishing is kind of very addictive, just like sugar. And we do... it's approximately about a 1/4 mile walk from the parking lot, these two holes that we've improved access to. So, and I've been down one of them, and it's not a bad walk and access. I think you get one of those really heavy duty chairs, and you might even be able to, with some help, get someone down there that is more wheelchair bound. So certainly we'll be looking to try and improve that as well if we can. But there's some more opportunities out there.
What about the numbers? I mean, have you, on behalf of the Fish and Game, when you start talking about maybe at American Falls or maybe in the Snake River or anywhere else, how do you know what the numbers of sturgeon and what kind of amount you really have?
Well, we do some surveys for sturgeon. In fact, Idaho Powers, give some kudos to Idaho Utility Company. They partner with us and on their own to do some sturgeon work. And what you're looking for is you get out there and you. Some of this, honestly, is the fun kind of work we do, which is trying to catch sturgeon on a rod. And what we're looking to do is see if there's 2-footers and 3-footers out there. Those fish are typically around 5 to 10 years old, and that's how you know if you're catching some of those that you've had some recruitment in the last few years. Because sturgeon, can be kind of sensitive to water flows and temperatures and other stuff happening in the river, and so recruitment doesn't always happen. They're kind of a long-lived, low recruitment type fish, is my understanding. And so we do get out there and do some surveys. And some of this, like the Minidoka stuff, some of this is putting sturgeons into the waters. Around here, the aquaculture industry, which is big time. Think Clear Springs and other stuff. Not only are they raising trout around here, but folks raise sturgeon and other stuff. So it's kind of a big deal here, both keeping, where we can, natural populations out there, and where we can't, there are some augmentations.
Well, let me ask you this, Craig, and I'm not trying to be funny at all when I say this, and I think we've talked about this on a previous program. Do you ever send, scuba divers down into the depths to see and study how many there may be in a certain area?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, that is not a tool Fish and Game uses, and I'm not an expert on sturgeon. I've had some of my funnest days on a boat catching sturgeon, but I think part of the challenge there is, when you look at the Snake and kind of how murky and muddy it can be with sediment flowing through, I'm not sure scuba diving is really the effective way. So often it's and sturgeon are sensitive too, in the sense that when you do hook one, you're not allowed to take it out of the water. You can bring it up to the surface, remove your hook, take some pictures, but you're not allowed to pull that up on the boat or onto the bank. And there are some, bank fishings, especially over by Hagerman, but it has to be more, we use rod and reel to survey those, and then there's some, other times there's some other electricity type stuff I think they put in the water.
I see.
To also kind of figure out how many fish are in there.
Let's go down the list here. I've only got about 7 minutes left here in this segment. So what did I miss as far as topics are concerned?
Well, I want to circle around real quick just to let people be aware of this. On the commission meeting, I mentioned it's still happening. There's a few things that will be action items. One of those is the spring season Chinook season setting will take place. Another one is there is a rule now where, the sawtooth elk zone has been really popular, and it's capped at the number of tags, and so it sells out in 10 minutes. And one of the things we were asked to look at and scoped and found some support for, not everyone likes it, but there is a good chunk of people that liked it, was to take that zone, to create a rule that if you're going to put in for a controlled hunt, you had to, once the cap zones go on sale, because they go on sale on a certain day, the sawtooth is, and there's about 8 or 9 cap zones, but they go on sale the same day. The sawtooth goes on 2 days later. The bottom line is the rule allows the commission to establish a waiting period to buy a cap zone tag if you put in for a controlled hunt. So we anticipate, it's not set in stone. The commission has to make that decision, but we anticipate that anyone who puts in for a controlled hunt this year would have to wait after the cap zone tags go on sale. They'll have to wait a few days. Don't know what that will be, because the commission has to make that decision. But I just want people to know that they're going to need to make a choice this year, whether they put in for a controlled hunt or whether they want to try and get a capped zone tag. And the reason they'll have to is because most of those capped zone tags go pretty fast. They go within 10 minutes to within a day or two. And the idea is not to is that they're just as covenanted as a controlled hunt, and so it's to make people kind of have to choose just because there's so much demand. And that was something that was scoped a year or two ago, and support for. Like I said, no doubt not everyone supports that idea, but it's a necessary step with so many hunters wanting to do so much. Sometimes you have to split the pie a little bit.
Okay, anything that we've missed? I've got 3 minutes, and that's it.
Well, just let folks know as they get out there. I mentioned fishing is a good chance to kind of get away from folks as long as you don't hit a crowded spot. But there are various locations that we're going to be fish stocking. We got some the Connor and Emerald ponds. These are little lakes over little ponds, really, by Burley along the freeway. We've already stocked those with approximately 400 fish each. We haven't always stocked them recently because of predation by pelicans, but we stock those now. We won't stock them throughout the year, but we stock those now before the pelicans begin to show up. Once again, those are the Connor and Emerald ponds over by Burley, and we're starting into that phase here where we'll be starting to stock other locations, and there'll be places for people to go to fish.
I would like to ask you this before we wrap it up and I go to my weather forecast, etc. Give us kind of a real short synopsis, kind of a thumbnail sketch as to what you think the status of wildlife and fishing for the state of Idaho is going to be for this year, 2020.
Well, first of all, there will be hunting and fishing. That's one of the great things. Once again, you can still participate, and we will have hunting and fishing. And, of course, you got the turkey hunts coming up. It was a pretty mild winter, so I think recruitment of deer, fawns, and elk calves fared well in most of the state, probably better than normal. Would be my guess, although I haven't seen the numbers. Those numbers will be coming out in May. And but my guess is if we continue a mild spring like we are, we don't get some late big storms, that will have good recruitment. And what that means is in the fall, a lot of our harvest is on yearlings and 2-year-olds. Last year wasn't terrible. It was kind of average, so it wasn't great either. But we'll have those deer that were a year-old last year that will be 2-year-old, and we'll have this year 1-year-old deers and elk, and I think though it'll be a decent year. Over the last 5 to 6 years, like I've mentioned, we've had the highest harvest in deer and elk because we have high deer and elk numbers, higher than any other period except the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. Craig, I want to say thank you. We had a little delay there all of a sudden, but it cured itself. And I want to say thank you very much to the Idaho Fish and Game, Craig White, the regional supervisor. God bless you. And we hope that next month we can do this like we always did. And from our place to yours over at the Fish and Game office, if they have questions, all they have to do is call you at 324-4359, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. That ends it, man. I've got to run, but have a good day, a good month, and we'll talk to you next month in April. How's that?
Hey, appreciate it, Zeb, and I hope you all do well, and our listeners out there stay healthy.
All right. Thank you very much. Craig White with the Idaho Fish and Game. Oh, I got to tell you right now about a very, very good, very delicious place to go eat. I mean, not only the sandwiches and the dinner specials every day and the great desserts like the peach cobbler, etc., but Edith's Cafe at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Oh, my goodness. They're open Tuesdays through Thursdays, 11 to 8, Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 9. And don't forget, on Wednesdays and Thursdays, they've got a special called the Prime Rib French Dip. Oh my favorite. The Prime Rib French Dip sandwich. And you'd better get there early before it's all gone at Edith's Cafe. Don't forget, these are really wonderful people, and they do catering, and I'll tell you what, they've got a pickup service to where you can run right over there, order ahead of time, pick up your meal, go home and enjoy it, put your feet up on the hassock and watch television. These are wonderful people, great eating at Edith's Cafe in Burley. Let's head to the weather forecast real quick, and the weather brought to you this hour by our friends at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. And, of course, you can check out all the delicious meats at scarrowsmeats.com. Check it out or give Don and the crew a call at 324-7657. I'll repeat that number, 324-7657. All the different bacons, and, of course, I always tell you about the pork ribs or the tri-tips or the hams, and of course the sausages and the bratwurst. The list goes on and on. Absolutely great. Scarrows Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Got to get through the showers of today to hit the sunshine of tomorrow. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting rain and or snow showers off and on throughout the day, mostly cloudy skies. Winds out of the west at about 7 miles an hour. We are expecting a high close to 50. Tonight that could continue with a low of 29. Tomorrow we will see the sunshine. Winds coming out of the east at a slight breeze, expecting a high of 51, overnight low of 29. 54 under sunny skies for Friday. And as we hit the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, sunny skies, upper 50s. That's a look at your weather forecast for 7-3.
And we'll take it. Thank you, Gina. Once again, I want to say thank you to Don Scarrow and Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. I'm telling you, you want to enjoy a great family gathering, a picnic, or a reunion, be sure and contact Scarrow's Meats, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Wow. Real quick reminder, tomorrow, Sharon Wilmot, I said the name right, Sharon, give me a kudos on that. Sharon's going to be filling in for me. Deanna and I've got some things that we absolutely have to take care of over the next 2 days, and I'm sure you'll understand. She's going to have a great program tomorrow, including, of course, the Chamber Report, and Nick Greenwell's going to be calling in on behalf of Burley Physical Therapy. She's going to have other great guests on there, along with, of course, Cassia County School Days. Be sure and tune in tomorrow. Sharon's going to help me on the program tomorrow. Want to remind you again about our major sponsor, and that's your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, and they really care. And the service to the customers is always foremost on their minds, and I want you to know that they are absolutely, they've increased the cleaning and disinfectant of all of their locations to make it safe for you. Absolutely. I mean, you, the customer, are number one at any of the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And don't forget, too, talking about being number one, they're offering you a spring tire sale right now. All their tires, all the different tread designs, all the sizes for your cars, pickups, SUVs, you name it, they've got it right there at any one of the locations, along with the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to just end the program this way today. All this week, there has been an increase in awareness and quite frankly, an increase in fear and trepidation about what's going on in our country. And I would like to just end the program by saying a 4-letter word: pray. Pray. And prayer, I think, in everyone's life is very important right now today. And I would like you to remember and consider Philippians chapter 4, verse 6, that says, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. From Deanne and I to you and yours, we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the 4 words that mean the most to us: in God we trust. God bless you. Be safe. We'll talk to you next Monday at 8:06.